So I wanted to make a channel that really discussed my weight loss and just how I've done it, what got me to this point, how I gained so much weight, what the motivation is to lose the weight. This video is really to discuss how did I get here, what led me to weigh 500 pounds. And it's not a simple answer. I can't sit here and say I had a bad family, I had a horrible experience growing up, nothing like that. But there are a lot of things that led me up to this point, and this video is probably going to upset some of my family, just because they're going to learn some things about me they probably didn't know. So we'll start from the beginning. One of the things that has bothered me most of my life is when I was about 12 years old, 11 or 12, a really good friend of mine took his own life, and I always blamed myself for that. The story behind it was pretty much that he was bullied. One day he wanted to talk to me. I told him I didn't have time, I had to go home, and I faked sick, went home. That night he killed himself, and the next morning I found out about it at school. That's just one of the things that kind of messed me up in my head as far as how I look at my outlook on life. One thing I did tell myself at that point, though, was that I would never do something that selfish and take me away from everybody I love. Just I knew that was something I never could do after that point. But then one of my life's demons comes into play with that too. So we'll get to that in a minute. So fast forward, I had a great childhood. Probably the best mom a guy could ever ask for. She worked all the time. My dad was not the greatest dad at the time, but he stepped up his game now, and he's a great dad and great grandparent. I had great step parents, even the ones that were just completely a pain in the butt. They taught me a lot of lessons in life that I wish I'd have learned a little better, but now that I've got them, I'm glad I have them. Great siblings. But I started gaining weight. I've always been husky, but I started gaining more weight in high school. It's also when I really became self-conscious about myself. Which you think that would have the opposite of that. You think that if you were self-conscious, you would stop eating. But being an introvert and self-conscious, I found myself going to food as a form of release. It was the only thing that I knew for sure that would be there for me. I had great friends. This was all psychological. Had nothing. There was no reality to it. I got into finished high school, and I was dating a girl who I ended up marrying, love of my life. Something happened though when we were dating that changed me a lot, and I can't really explain it other than I'll tell you what happened. I got really sick, and I got to the point where one of my demons, my life demons, came out. And I had decided that the pain was too much, and I was at that point ready to end the pain. It seems like every time I get to a spot like this in my life, there has been some form of divine intervention. And this channel, I'm not here to express my religious views or try to convert people to religion or change their faith or anything like that. So we'll keep with the scientific as we can, and I'll bring in religion if I have to for my faith. But so I went to tons of physicians, different specialists, internalists, all kinds of stuff, and finally one day I was in so much pain, I went to, it was a PA at a walk-in clinic. And I go in there and he looked me over and he said, well, it doesn't really matter what the tests say, you've got some kind of viral issue, let's give you a viral medication. Gave me a viral medication, and within 3 days I was feeling better and the pain was going away. I actually lost my ability to taste food for several months because of this. It was very strange. So I got past that, went through hell getting my now wife, to marry me, mainly because of family issues, but it's all done. So we have 4 beautiful kids, which that is just, if you don't believe in miracles, have children, okay? Because they are miracles. So wife, 4 kids, and gaining a ton of weight. Stress from work was probably the biggest reason I started gaining a ton of weight. And when I say a ton of weight, I mean I was pushing 350, 370. Then I started a new career path when I was probably 24 years old. And very high stress, very, very high stress, and the pounds just started just going crazy. I hit 400 pounds easy, 400 plus, okay, and that's about where I'm at today, is 395-ish somewhere. But I hit 4, and I was happy with it. I mean, I was loving food. I was doing my job, even though it was very stressful. But I was very distant from my wife and kids, and I didn't realize that until things got a little bad. I won't go into details, but in my life I've done things that I'm not proud of. And the toughest thing you'll ever do when you do something that you feel is wrong is to forgive yourself. And that's tough. So this got me into a position a couple years back to where I had admitted failure in life. And I think people can fail one time. I don't think if you lose a job, you're a failure. I don't think if you're homeless, you're a failure. I don't think nothing makes you a failure until the one thing that can make you a failure does. And that, to me, is when you take your own life. To me, that is the end game. There's no coming back from it. That is the only way to fail in life. Now, often this is a newer philosophy for me because I've gone through life at most points feeling like I've failed at things, but looking back, I know I never really failed. And forgiving myself for the things that I know I've done wrong is probably the most difficult thing I've had to do. And some of them, honestly, one day I know that I accept what I did, I forgive what I did, and it could be the smallest thing in the world. But the biggest thing is I look back and I still blame myself for my friend's death. But that's one of the demons that I struggle with. So how close was I to failure? Well, I had, over the course of a couple years, I had planned it out pretty in depth. I decided that, if I was going to leave, the only thing that really mattered to me at that point was making sure my wife and kids was taken care of. To do that, I really pushed my wife to get into a career. Most of the time she'd been a stay-at-home mom. So I pushed her to go to school. And the end game was pretty much she would go to school, finish school, start her career path, and then I'd be out of the picture. So things got really, really bad for me, emotionally and mentally. and she was almost finished with school. She was doing good, and I had set a date for when my ultimate failure would occur. And by this point, I was pushing 480, 490 pounds easy. I'd sat on the couch for 6 months, eating food and drinking pop. Life was bad. At that point, I thought the best thing I could do for my kids and my wife is not be in this world. So I'd set a date, and I had written letters. I even made a video that I was going to make sure that my family got, so they would know that everything that I was doing I thought was for their benefit and the best thing for my children. And something happened to me, and nobody could have known anything that I was planning. Not even possible. There was nothing. There was no evidence of what I was going to do. I'd never discussed it. For the most part, on the outside, people saw a happy, funny guy, and it was a total cover-up. So I was probably 2 weeks from doing what I was going to do, and I had a breakdown and I needed to talk to somebody. My dad took me to church, which I'd gone to church with him a few times, but he took me to church, and I just had this want to let somebody know what was going on in my life. So I talked to the pastor of the church, and he knew what my plans were. He knew what I was going to do. He even knew that I'd been planning it for quite a while. And he showed me that these people that I was trying to do the right thing for, in my mind, was the opposite of what I needed to do. Because the truth is, in life, you can't have any failures. There are no failures in life. The only failure is one that takes your life. And everybody dies. But when you kill yourself, that's the ultimate. That is the only way, in my opinion, to fail. So needless to say, a couple years later, now, I'm down 100 pounds, and I have a complete different outlook on life. A new job that lets me spend time with my kids. I'm not saying I'm the greatest dad in the world by any means. I have a lot of problems. But I truly believe that part of me is gone. That person is gone. So going forward is the important part. And to my family, I don't know if anybody will see this or not, but just know that those dark times in my life are behind me. And a lot of that is because of all of you. Great parents, including step-parents. Great siblings, all of them. I couldn't ask for a better family. So going forward, if you don't get anything out of any videos you watch of mine, just know that the answer is never to go away. You can't run away from life. And forgiving yourself will be the most difficult thing you ever do in life. So going forward with this channel, I'm going to hopefully have some good information for people. I don't plan on being a personal coach to anybody. I'm just going to talk about what I've done, some of the other things I've gone through, and we'll go from there. So feel free to comment, contact me, and if you ever need help, get it. Don't think that you can solve all the world's problems. Don't think that you can solve your own problems. Ask for help. It's usually there when you need it.